Boom. What's up, everybody? We are live for a Thursday night Print Factory Edition showdown tonight with the Denver Broncos and the Kansas City Chiefs. And I got my two boys on a Thursday that I usually have. We got Whistles Go Woo and Big T in the house rocking the new Rum Pure Sports hats. I got to go to Big T first. Look at that hat. I mean, actually, I can only look at that hat because I don't have one myself. And, I might never get one unless I go pay for it down in Kentucky. But Big T, what's going on, man? I love the swag.
Yeah, just came today. Had to break out the new hats. Looks good. I don't know about you having to pay or whatever you just said. I mean, we got to get them out. No one has them yet. I'm going to send Whistles one before you, though.
I mean, you were
rubbing it in my face.
You did promise me a sweatshirt. I don't see anything coming in the mail yet.
It's coming before it goes to the Sarabian house. I know that much because he was complaining there. It's going to House Whistles first.
Whistles, you know how long it took me to get a winter hat sent to me? You know how long it took for Tony to send me a winter hat? I had been asking for months. It got to a point where he started making jokes about it, and it was like we had an NBA Up to Lock show one day, and Tony sold like 30 of these winter hats because he was like, you know what? Let's get more people out there with hats before JSU. So everyone started buying them just so they could have hats before I did. So screw Tony. It's probably going to take him another 3 months to get me a hat.
Oh, I'm sure. Did you get one eventually or no?
I did get one eventually.
Yeah, you got all kinds of shit. No, don't let him
because of Amber. I had to text Amber.
She's the one that sends it out in the first place. It's her fault you didn't get one to start with.
So I asked you, and your response back was, I'll get one to you. And then eventually it turned into, you got to ask Amber. So I said, give me your damn number because I'm not waiting another 3 months. It's cold outside. And I texted her, and I got it right away. So I thank Amber for the hat. I don't even thank Tony for it. So you might just have to text Amber to get your sweatshirt.
He's calling Amber right
now? She might have called him. I don't know. I don't know. That might probably not actually Amber. I bet you it's someone else who called and he's just like, screw these guys. I'm going to pick up the phone because JSU's being an asshole. But
well, I don't know where the respect is over there, but that's all right.
Seriously. I mean, geez, Whistles on a show. Tony just answers the fucking phone.
It was the electrician. I had to answer when it's the electrician.
Did they fix your fridge?
No, they got to come out in the morning. That's why I couldn't miss the call, even though we were on. I got to get that fixed. I got to keep Amber happy so she gets you your gear out.
His fridge is like the electricity is not working well for his fridge. They keep having to like turn the fucking thing back on every time. The what is it called, Tony? I'm
breaker.
On it right. The breaker. Yeah, they got to flip it back on because it goes out like 10 times during the day. Whistles. It's crazy.
When do we get to the point of the show where we talk about how I said the Washington defense was the worst play of the entire lifetime last Thursday, and everyone made fun of me in the chat?
Did people actually make fun of you for that take? I forgot that was the game. That was the last Thursday night game because we actually dominated that Thursday night football show. Big T with the defense call, everyone making fun of him. Apparently, I didn't see anyone making fun of him. I never see people make fun of Big T. All I see is Big T love. I never see people making fun of him. But
you see the after effect when the defense gives up 2 touchdowns in 8 seconds and they're dead 12 seconds into the game.
See, I thought your better call was Bears money line. Bears money line. Chicago literally stomped that team. I mean, come on. Bears money line for the win. We were all over
Brian Robinson unders. I mean, people were killing me on the other shows. Like Brian Robinson, he's got unders. He had 10 yards.
He had 10 yards. He literally did have 10. Antonio
Gibson. You can count them on your fingers how many yards he had.
Antonio Gibson was the better play. We said it on this show. It was just a better play. It was the best value. We were all over that game. I forgot about that.
And Logan Thomas, too. He was
great. Logan Thomas went for freaking 20.
Whistles owned me, too. He wasn't the captain, but, man, he was good. That was a great call. He was on Big
definitely called Big T. Exactly what was said. Logan Thomas.
We needed freaking Whistles in there with us. You should have had that. If we had all 3 of us after we did this show, it would have been just – we would have had to run it back every
Tony was
slate.
Ahead of me, though, Whistles. He was ahead of me.
On the rank.
Yeah, he was ahead of me. So that's normally how it works. Just another day ending in Y. You know, it's Big T wins, JSU wins, but Big T's ahead of me.
That's all right.
I deal with it on a daily basis, so I'm cool.
Ahead of you in what?
What? You being ahead of me. I deal with that on a daily
In
basis.
what? We were both in first. How was I ahead of you?
You know, when you look at the thing and your logo's ahead of mine, your name's ahead of mine. I'm just saying that you were ahead of me. So it's usual here. College football.
This was ahead of me in college football.
I crushed the college football slate.
Did you?
Yeah.
Did you? Oh, shit. I know Tony won, so you must have. What'd you win?
This was 2 days ago. Let me see where I ended. I was in the big one, 1st, 5th, 8th, 9th.
Oh, shit. Okay. Was that like 50K? What'd you win?
20K on that one. It was
20K.
Tuesday night.
All right.
Good enough.
Just another Tuesday. You know what I mean? Just
he said
Tuesday
good enough.
What is Whistles for someone like you? What is like where you're like, oh, that's good. Like what's
no? You've seen this. Don't let him fool you. You've seen this dude sweat these games.
I've seen him sweat.
He gets on the edge of his seat and he starts. It's the first quarter, and this dude's on his feet rooting it in. Don't let him fool you.
Millie makers, though, I'm talking about like, okay, he's got like 20K, and like what's where you start like sweating, like real? Because I've seen you sweat. You sweat hard for like live finals and Millie.
I bet he does that on the Tuesday night college slate.
Yeah, Tuesday, the 10K up top. I'm sweating that. What are you talking about? It's what
I guarantee that man's a sweater.
No,
you're a sweater.
When there's a 100K plus, I obviously sweat. Even 50K, I'll start sweating it heavy.
Okay, so that's what I'm talking.
You sweated that Tuesday night. You're a worker. You don't let the minions like Big T just get an easy slate. You got to punish me.
Nope.
JSU looks like he's about to fight Volkanovski.
I agree. And he was talking about it before we came on, how he was training to fight. So whoever said that is correct.
Actually, I do train to fight, but I'm not Alexander Volkanovski, and I'm not Islam either. They're on a different level. By the way, that dude is friggin' nuts to take that fight on 10 days notice, and I love it. I absolutely love it. I can't wait. I was in the camp that he won that first fight against Islam. I still think he kind of won, but it was close enough. I guess it didn't matter, but that's going to be an awesome fight. Hopefully it's another like really close one again, because Volkov deserves another fight. I wish he had a full camp, but it don't matter. It's not. He doesn't make excuses, Tony. That's why I love Volkanovski. Everyone thinks I'm probably an Islam fan.
He doesn't need a full camp anyways. They've already fought and he's in shape.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. He's not going to make excuses. He's going to go out there and try and friggin' win the fight, just like he always does. Yeah. That's what he does. So I can't wait for that fight. That fight's going to be awesome. All right, so back to football here, guys. I know we crushed last Thursday. Whistles, anything? We keep pumping the tool. It's still free on the site. It's free on your site too. So if you want to try Whistles tool out, eatthesharks.com or on Run Pure Sports, you can go over there. You can try it out for tonight's Showdown slate. It should be up and ready to go, right, Whistles?
Yeah, absolutely. I have the data up there. I think happy to share my screen at some point today, see what you guys think about it. It's, I've been playing a lot with it, obviously, just to see how it works. It tends to work best when you pick like 3 guys or so is up and 3 guys or so is down, and that's it. But let's play around with it a little bit today. We'll see where we get.
Yeah, well, you can share your screen if you want in a little bit. It doesn't matter to you. But let's just start generally with the game here, guys, because obviously this game, it's like an 11-point spread or something like that. Broncos, big-time dogs here in Kansas City. I did just a preliminary run here before we jumped on, because I just wanted to see. I didn't touch anything. I just went into SaberSim, and I wanted to run 150 and see what the optos were just giving me just based off of the projections. And I got 40% 5-1 builds. And that was just not in my 150. And that was just not touching anything and just running it, which I was like, holy shit. So I don't know if you guys have done that yet today. I don't know if you guys have run anything and seen anything close to that, but I assume Chiefs heavy scripts are where people are leaning for sure. 4-2-5-1, and the defense is probably going to be popular. Are you guys thinking that 5-1 builds could be really popular tonight?
I mean, it started at 10.5. Kelsey was basically confirmed to play, so it went up to like 11. I think, yeah, one of my buddies, he used to go to a gym with Isaac Bruce, okay? And he said the hardest place to play was in KC. So, is Denver going to go in there and change the script of their season? I tend to doubt it. So, yeah, I think 5-1 scripts can make total sense.
Tony, you got a take on that? Like, have you just like ran anything and seen something drastic, like, or do you have a feel on which way it's going to go?
I mean, yeah, the ownership will naturally go to 5-1 in games like this because it's a big spread. The Broncos have been bad. The Chiefs are the Chiefs. I mean, but once you actually look at it, I don't even see how you could go 5-1. Like, Kansas City doesn't have enough playable pieces for me to go 5-1. And I know the Chiefs have won, I think, 10 straight versus the Broncos, but the games have been closer than people think. Just looking back at them and remembering in my head a few of the games, like the Broncos easily could have won, and then Mahomes just did Mahomes things and pulled it out at the end. But, I mean, I don't even know who you would play in a 5-1 Kansas City outside of just rolling the dice on some cheap guys and hope you hit. But I mean, in general, in normal games, I would say 5-1s are like less than 10% for sure of the overall field. And tonight, I could see it being 25% range for 5-1 KC. So way, way higher, like probably three or four times higher than usual, which gives even more edge to me to play 3-3s and 4-2 Denvers, where I think you can still play Mahomes and someone with him, but go more Denver based, and they have better skill players. I mean, if you just flip Mahomes, I mean, I'm convinced that Denver would be the team Kansas City is. It's just there's better weapons on the Broncos. They just don't have Mahomes and they don't have Randy Reed, and things are different that way. But as far as the actual rosters, again, we're known as the Chief haters, two whistles on our other show. I just don't like the Chiefs. So you're going to give me 11 points in a division game with a somewhat talented team getting Dulcich back tonight too. I think Denver could win this game, but I know I'm a Chiefs hater.
So weird thing about this game, and we said it too, these island games have been playing really weird. So it wouldn't shock me if Denver came in there and gave the Chiefs a battle. Those games, though, where the Chiefs, did struggle a little bit against Denver defense, Vic Fangio was a lot of the times the coach of that Denver team that gave him issues. He's gone. And then you're seeing like some of their defensive guys, like Frank Clark, I don't think is going to play in this game. They said that they agreed to like pay cut, reduce his salary. I think they're going to try and trade him or just release him. So he's going to be gone. Jerry Jeudy's coming up in trade talks. There's a lot of things going on in that Denver team where there's clearly some friction, and there's going to be changes made for sure. When that happens, it's not going to be like right away, but I'm sure it's going to happen soon before the trade deadline. So that's interesting. You got Greg Dulcich looking like he's going to come back at tight end for Denver. So that's a little bit of a boost because he's a better just pass catcher than Troutman is. So I agree with Tony. Like the only way you could play a 5-1 build, I think you'd have to like almost make a rule like you want a kicker or a defense in there for sure. And then you'd want one of the running backs in there with Mahomes and one or two pass get. Like that's the only way to do it.
Whistles might know better too, but in 5-1s, like you would think a kicker or D almost has to be a lock in those type of builds, just the way the slate sets up with those. Just because if it is truly, because it doesn't take much for two guys to hit the winner on the other team, even without touchdowns. So if it's so dominant that it's a 5-1, then you would think naturally a D or a kicker ends up in there.
So my highest ranked lineup with a 5-1 right now. So I do have some of them, and I don't think I typically have that many 5-1s, generally speaking. It has both the kicker and the defense on it, right? Because I mean, you just you need just like a total destruction, right? I mean, the only way it can work is if it's really like a crazy blowout and the other team kind of gives up, right? And it's like 3 points for one team, 25 for the other team, or something like that. So yeah, it's tough to get that many. I mean, not only just the value in there, but just like making sure that the points are so lopsided on one side of it. I'm looking to see if I have another one that is up there.
It's got to be high that a kicker or a defense is in almost all those 5-1 winners. Yeah. Like it's got to be really high. You know what I mean? I'm sure there's some outlier. Like I don't know if Lamar Jackson, when he was running in past years, like ran for 3 touchdowns and did everything on the ground, didn't really throw to anyone, and then the other team, scored. And it was a 5-1 with Lamar captain. Like I'm sure something like that's happened, but like for the most part, it's got to be a defense or a kicker in that 5 situation.
Yeah, and you have to think who are you going to play on the other side as a 1, right? Which is also kind of tricky. Yeah, Lamar, sure, a running back, a quarterback that runs, fine. A running back is possible, of course.
Yep.
But once you get a wide receiver in there, you start to think.
The problem with the running backs is they're kind of all like priced up a little bit to the point where you don't love the price tags on a lot of these guys from Denver because they're going to play 3 of them. With Javonte back, McLaughlin at $7K and him at $7,200. I mean, those are tough price tags to pay for running backs. Running backs that are going to get, at most what Javonte gets like maybe at most 40%. And it could be less coming off an injury. And McLaughlin's going to see, less, probably 20 or 30%. And P. Ryan's going to get the other bit. So, man, it's tough even from a running back situation in Denver to like kind of lock in on 1 or 2 guys at those price tags. So it's really, I think the 5-1 builds, I think they're bad plays just because of how high owned they're going to be. And like you said, it's going to be really tough to peg that one guy, right, Whistles?
Yeah, on the Denver side, right? I mean,
yes, on the Denver
I would
side.
say Sutton would be the number 1 choice, but then I don't know. Do you really build it where a wide receiver is somebody that's going to grab just the one? I don't know. Yeah, not sure.
Yeah, I mean, I could if I knew how much Greg Dulcich was going to play, I could say he could possibly be one of the better choices just because he has upside at 3,200. That's a cheap price tag. But I don't know what he's going to do coming off IR.
I've got one more here that I see, which is interesting. It's Mahomes captain, and then only Javonte Williams on Denver, I guess.
I feel like a running back would make sense a little.
That one does have the defense on there, so yeah, you're gonna have to throw in a defense or a kicker or both. I think
the defense is gonna be what 30%. What is the defense on this slate, Tony? Is it like Washington-esque from last Thursday?
I mean, they got to be pretty high. I don't think it'll be as high as that, just because it's just not that type of spot. Let me see what actual. I mean, just in general, before I even look, I would say it's probably in the 30s. But let me look.
What's funny is the Chiefs' defense is literally better than Washington, and they're playing an ass team. Like that's what's funny. It doesn't even make sense.
And whenever it's a 5-1 heavy night, you just know the D's going to be chalky. Which
something like 28%, I think, is what I would guess.
I could see it being and you're probably, I'm assuming, lower than the field too, because I know a lot of the really sharp guys are always under on D's for the most part. So I bet just standard runs on optimizers are going to get above Whistles. So again, I would consider them a very bad play. I'm not going to take it as far as I took it last Thursday, because Denver, for a lot of the reasons JSU talked about, you don't know the inner dynamics of the team, if they're just going to totally pack it in this year and really just go that direction, or if they're going to fight. I don't think anyone knows. I mean, tonight is kind of a season for them, and I think Sean Payton will put a lot into this game, where this is like their point. They either play good tonight or they just shut it down, and I think that is how it goes tonight, which I'm not going to play the D heavy at all, but I won't totally fade it like last week.
And what about Broncos defense? Would you play them at all?
I think you can, for sure, just because no one's going to play them. And like we always talk about, defense is the most random thing in all of fantasy football. All it takes is one sack or the dude goes to the house.
Marvin Mims on a punt return to the house or something like that. Like, you don't know what.
I think
no one's going to play him. Like, no one.
Their first play of the season was an onside kick, I believe. Can someone
Really?
check that
That's
for me?
how they
I'm
started the
pretty
year?
sure. Let me check that 1 second.
I wouldn't be shocked if Sean Payton was super aggressive in this game. Like super
Got
aggressive.
nothing to lose.
The kicker, he might get in spots where the kicker would normally kick the field goal on like 4th and 2, where he just decides to go for it and say, I'm going to just really try and keep Mahomes off the field and keep my offense, because you need touchdowns against Mahomes, especially if your defense sucks. This isn't the Jets, you know what I mean? The Jets and Salah, like this isn't that team. Like the Jets could lean on their defense, you know what I mean? So they could punt the ball in spots. There's certain teams like Denver right now with their defense, like those guys got to be crushed because of how bad the offense is too. Like they're terrible. I don't think they can lean on their defense here. So what are they going to do? They're going to try and keep the ball as long as possible. And that means you're going to have to be aggressive at certain points where in normal spots you probably wouldn't be. So that's another thing to kind of think about. Whistles, do you have something else to add?
No, I was confirming that. Yeah, I think they started the season with an online side kick. So Sean Payton's willing to do crazy things too, right? And you're right. Maybe he does get super aggressive, and maybe because he's in a position where he really wants to, try to keep the ball out of Mahomes' hands, which makes sense. I mean, the Broncos, I'll say their defense, they're like the worst tacklers in the league. I'm pretty sure. It's gonna be hard to play them. I think. I don't know. I'll play them a little bit.
They're really bad on defense. So it's kind of like the same take everyone's going to have where, like, how do you not play Mahomes in the top spot in a bunch of your lineups? Like that's the question right now. Like, how do you not just go super heavy on Mahomes, in this spot where clearly they're going to have an advantage, offensively against their Denver's defense? Like, what are we doing here at the top? With Mahomes, with Kelsey, Russell Wilson's 9,600, Pacheco's 9,400, Jerry Judy's 9K. What are we doing with that, like 9K and up range? And Whistles, I'll throw it to you first.
Sure. So, I mean, I have my ownership on the site for the large slate contest tonight. And right now I've got Mahomes captain only 6% because it's, that big competition. So I don't think you really want to go with them, but flex over 80%. So you're talking about 90% of lineups have to have Mahomes, and I don't think that's wrong. I think it's kind of hard not to play him, I think, tonight. And then as far as Kelsey goes, flex, I have him at 40%, and captain, I have him at almost 20%. So it's a little bit lower than I would think, but maybe that's because it's a large competition, right? So the model tries to stay away from the obvious stuff. And yeah, I mean, of course, it could it be the case where Kansas City scores really quickly and then they just pound the run, and then you're getting a lot of running back? I think that's possible. So I think the Pacheco play is pretty good here.
Yeah, Pacheco play definitely makes some sense. Tony, what are you doing here at that like top, 9K and up range with these guys?
Yeah, it's hard. I mean, it is a tricky spot. The good thing with going Mahomes up top is Kansas City's got to be the most difficult team in the league to figure out who to put with them. I mean, you can Mahomes, Kelsey, Pacheco are clearly like the offense right now, but you still never know one of these games when McKinnon's just going to slide in there and be the guy for a game. It's going to happen one of these games, and Pacheco people will be tilted. So, I mean, these prices are tough too, kind of what JSU was talking about, where to pivot off of these guys at 12.8 and 11K, I mean, you still got 9,400 Pacheco. Judy's pretty expensive, 9K. I mean, all of these guys are still, the running backs are super expensive too. I think for me, if I got off like that top tier of Mahomes, Kelsey, Wilson, even Pacheco, it would have to be to go down to one of these receivers that could just break it, like Rashee Rice, Harrison Butker. Could be put in play if you want like different build. Like, I know we hate kicker builds, but it's a division game. Just as something different. Marvin Mims too. I know everyone likes him, but he could be where you do him and the captain with Russ, with Mahomes and Kelsey. I mean, how much salary would a build like that do? Like Mims, I know I took the question. This is what always happens on our shows. You asked me up top, and now I'm talking about Marvin Mims. But if you go Mims, Mahomes, Kelsey, Wilson, so like that's a build I could see myself falling for tonight. Like you got both quarterbacks, you got Mims in the thing who can house it, and you got Kelsey in your last two spots. You got 48.50 left. That is very reasonable to play a kicker to kind of get around in there with a bunch of those iffy plays because, man, below, I would say even at Javonte, man, you just really don't know below that. You got a lot of guys that could get 0 or could get 12 or something, but there's not a lot of upside in there. There's not a lot of stability in there. And the salary way, you almost need to find someone in there. At least I want to. Yeah, of course I can go in there and play Mahomes and Kelsey. I don't know how different that gets me. And honestly, I don't know if that's the best build tonight because it's going to force you to play these cheapies, and these cheapies just look rough to me tonight. And I know you're going to have to gamble on some of them. I mean, we all play 150 teams, and yeah, I'm going to have some Mahomes up top and Kelsey up top just because. I mean, it easily could be the winner. But, man, I think that's the more important question. Like, who are these Chiefs guys mainly can we get behind? Like, who can we get behind those three?
The problem with both these teams is they're really tough to peg. I think both of them in a lot of ways. They both will use 3 running backs, even though Pacheco's, starting to stand out a little more. But remember, shortened week. This is a Thursday game, right? So, other running backs could be used a little bit more. Never really know with Andy Reid. And then you got the Denver situation, same thing with the 3 running backs. So, and then the wide receiver core is even more of a mess than the running back situation, like especially in Kansas City. I've pounded the Rashid Rice thing all year. I said he's better than all these dust balls that everyone wants to make work, like MVS and Sky Moore and all these guys that just suck. They suck. Like Justin Watson, I mean, he's fine, but like he's nothing special either. He's just like somehow he's the go guy. Like he's just like the go route guy. But at some point, I think Rice just will have to stand out because he's just way better than all of them. And at some point, they might have to start playing Justin Ross more. Like, I think he's more talented than a lot of these guys. I just don't know if they trust him enough yet to, like, get out there and play a big role. But that's my problem. Kadarius Toney, we saw that. We've seen this experiment happen. Like, he's going to play, like, 30 to 40% of the game. He'll get, like, 5 targets, but if he doesn't get in the end zone, he's going to land at like the 5 to 8 mark. You know what I mean? And I don't know if that gets it done here in Showdown. So that's the problem with trying to back some of these guys, Tony, is they're all kind of the same and you're just nitpicking a lot of it, right? Which is the issue I think we're falling in.
So it's definitely tough.
If we're going to go at the bottom guys, I mean, let's just look at Mims, Johnson, Noah Gray, and Justin Ross, and Little Jordan Humphrey, okay? On my 150, I have them all equally picked X amount of times.
Yeah,
I mean,
exactly,
I think that's what a lot of people are going to do.
Because they're all the same. So you gotta. This is my point, though. You have to nitpick 1 or 2 guys to be ahead. I really think this. You instead of just being like even on all of them, you got to nitpick. So I like Tony's Mims call because he's a dude. He could be a house call. Like, you know what I mean? Like one play and he's there. And I like Rice. So like for me, I'm gonna bump those guys probably slightly ahead of all the other ones. That as a stand, you know what I mean? Because I think just being even is, even though you're probably right and they're all really close to even, I think you got to make a stand and say it's MVS and Sky Moore or it's Rashid Rice, and that, like, get over on some of those guys so you have some leverage on the field, because I think everyone in 150 is going to be even with those plays. Wouldn't you agree, Tony? Like that's the way most
I
people
mean, it's
play
the tricky part of this game for sure. It's just, man, you click on these guys and it's tough. And I love Rashid Rice. I loved him in college. He's 6,400, and I'm trying to make a case for him with JSU. He's 6,400, and he's got 33 yards or less in 4 of the 5 games. He's got, I mean, it's a tough sale. It really is, where this is why everyone's going to end up doing what we're saying, though. They're going to go play Mahomes and Kelsey and maybe some Russ and Pacheco and those guys up top, and then they're just going to literally play all these guys down low the same. And it's just really hard because even the running backs, man, it is extremely hard to click a Broncos running back when they're these prices. There's 3 of them, and they're priced like there's 1 of them. I mean, you got Javonte. Even if Javonte was getting 70% of the work tonight, which he isn't, 7,200 would be pretty expensive to me, I would say, if there was only 2 of them, and there's 3. And McLaughlin's actually looked good, so you got to think they're all going to get run. But how in the world could you play him at 7K when the other 2 are back in there too? It's like, man, and it just in my head, Pirine is the only one that's cheaper. He's 5K, and in theory, he should be the best pass catching back in the mix of those 3. I mean, last week when they got down, they threw a bunch of dump offs to him, 5 targets, 4 for 73. So he enters the thing to me of a guy, if you were playing 4 2s and 5 1s, him at 5K, I think he actually has a high floor and a somewhat high ceiling if he somehow scores. And I don't think Pirine will really be that high owned. He plays really good in Kansas City builds, I think, better than those other 2. He's way cheaper. He's one of the best values for me when I run my numbers.
Yeah, I mean, he's just one of the guys that's he's going to play, and he's 2K cheaper than his other running back partners, I guess. So
he has clear path too, like clear path to victory.
Yeah,
because I don't think it's a slate where we need, like, these guys don't need to get you 18 in this spot. Like, if you can get me a double digits from these guys, kickers, D's, and these cheapies, 10 points plus is pretty huge tonight.
Yeah, I mean, if you told me any of these cheapies got 10, Tony, I'm in. Like, just plug them right in there at 10, because that's what you're asking for. I don't think the Broncos defense is egregious either. Just if you're playing for the Millie and being kind of, different, because you just don't know. Even if you think Mahomes can score, they can still somehow bank into a lucky touchdown. So, and they're 3K, so they're even cheaper than usually what you would see a defense. Even the dog defense here on a slate like this, they're really friggin' cheap. So, yeah, I think that's a good conversation. What's up, Whistles?
What about Clyde Edwards-Helaire? Do you play them? He's only 1,000. I mean, I know he doesn't get that many attempts, 3 attempts.
So honestly, I like builds with 2 KC running backs together. So I would be fine with Clyde Edwards-Helaire. I do think he plays a little more just because it's a Thursday. I think McKinnon's the better. Like Tony likes Pirine. I think McKinnon is my favorite in that mid-range at 5,200, 5K, 5,200, just because he has the upside to score 2 touchdowns. He gets, like, even though Pacheco is the better running back and he gets more work and everything like that, he will get some very valuable touches, on third down. They go to him sometimes on third down, in the red zone, in the goal line areas. So those are really valuable. And even though he has a lower floor, I still think he has a higher upside than almost anyone in that range, honestly. Like, to be honest, like, I think his upside is just as high or higher than anyone in that range. So I think he's my favorite backup running back play at 5,200. And I'm fine with playing 2 KC running backs together in builds. Like, I'm absolutely fine with it. I saw someone ask in chat, this was a little earlier, talking about the weather here. Are we supposed to have, like, bad weather in this game? Anyone? Tony said nope. Whistles, no.
Maybe a little bit of rain at 5 p.m., but then by 8 p.m. Oh, no, that's tomorrow. Yeah, I think it looks fine, I think. Yeah,
so, okay, Matty Ice says wind, like 15 to 20 miles and a little chilly. Not that bad. Yeah, I mean, if it's 15 to 20 miles, then, I mean,
I just would always just look at the spread. I say it every time anyone talks about weather. Right now the total is 47. Watch the total the rest of the day. If it starts to dip, worry about the weather. If it doesn't start to dip, I wouldn't even pay attention to it. I think it's literally that simple these days. Like, I know people because like 15 years ago, people might have actually got an edge with weather. Like, you see it snowing, everyone doesn't know it. Everyone knows this shit now, and the lines move. So you're not getting an edge by looking at weather. At least that's my opinion.
Yeah. Frank says it's just windy here in KC. So, yeah, I mean, a little wind. It'll be fine. Honestly, it's not like Pat Mahomes is like just airing it. They're just going to dice him up. It's not like he needs to air it out.
He doesn't have anyone to air it out to anyway.
He doesn't have anyone. Exactly. So, and we've
Yeah.
all seen Russ. So that's definitely not Russ's MO either. So, yeah, I mean, maybe that puts you on more of the run. I mean, I thought the running backs were good plays regardless. So I don't think the win plays a factor in the KC running backs being good plays. But all right, so we talked about the wide receivers mainly from the Chiefs. I brought up Mims. I know Tony brought up Mims. The Cortland Sutton, Jerry Jeudy. What do you guys think about the fact that they express, or there's reports that they want to trade Jerry Jeudy? Does that mean they pull back on him a little bit? Do you think he still plays like his normal role since they want to trade him and that's been reported? Like, how do you guys view that situation right there? He's $9K. Like, he's one of the most expensive guys, on the slate. So what are we doing here with Jerry Jeudy and Cortland Sutton, being there's a $1,200 gap? Tony, I'll throw it to you first.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people will play Sutton over Jeudy just because of the 1,200 difference. It's a similar thing that we always see when there's two receivers that are the primary guys. But they both could be traded, and honestly, that's another thing that I don't think anyone really knows. It could be a thing where they pepper them to get them more value in the spotlight and really go to them, or they could be gentle. You don't know the offers is the thing. Like, people always act like they have a take. There could already be a deal that's like done. Like, okay, let's get through this week. Let's make the deal next week. It's a done deal, though. Just don't injure him this week type thing. You just never know. Or it could be they have no interest and they want to totally showcase these guys and pepper Jeudy 15 targets tonight. So I don't think you can really, unless you know something that I don't know, I don't think you can really treat it. I won't bump them or lower them any. The one thing it would do is open up some of those secondary pieces, which is good for us. Like let me look at the prices real quick. So you got Mims is 4,600, but like Brandon Johnson at 1,200, if they do ease up, and Brandon Johnson's one of the best plays anyways, just because of his price and he fits with those Kansas City studs, but he could get a boost too, and his price is not going to hurt you in any way. So honestly, I think Brandon Johnson, and just running my numbers in SaberSim, Brandon Johnson hits my optimal actually with a not good projection. So that just shows you that I think he's a great play. And if somehow you get lucky and they pull the training wheels on Jeudy and these guys, and he plays a bunch, you could really fall into a good spot. Like, I would rather play Brandon Johnson and Mims and Pirine than any of those Chiefs guys.
He already gets a good amount of run, Tony. So I think that would boost Mims, if anything, just because Brandon Johnson already plays a good amount. Mims is the one that they kind of hold back.
The part that makes Brandon Johnson better, though, is just that price. I mean,
correct.
1,200 is just so nice.
I think that just shows you, though, value on this slate is pretty bad. If you have a really low projection on him and he's still hitting your optimal, I mean, value on the slate is not that good. Whistles, what are you doing with that whole situation in Denver, the wide receiver situation?
Sutton more, definitely. And I'll give you guys a lineup that uses Brandon Johnson and also Sutton as captain. Okay? I'd love to know what you guys think about this. Sutton captain, Mahomes, Kelsey, Wilson, Brandon Johnson, and then MVS.
Yeah, I like everything except MVS.
I know you guys hate him.
You had me until MVS. I was
He's
right
so bad. Like, he is so terrible.
Well, who could you swap out for MVS? Let's see. So Sutton as captain, which I
like the build though of that team.
I really like it. Yeah. So let's see, who would you replace?
Does it get you off the running backs? Because both teams have 3 running backs, and it's I mean, you can act like you're confident on one of these guys, but the truth of the matter is all 6 of these dudes could be the leading running back scorer tonight. So it lets you get off of that and play. I mean, I don't know. In one of these weeks, they're just going to stop playing MVS. I can promise you. I don't know when it's going to be, but at some point, they're just going to stop playing his ass.
He's like Juju from last year. He just will never go away, Tony. He'll just never go away. He's just going to stay there. And
I will never play him. He will be one guy that you will never – I just will not have his ass.
So Justin Watson's 2,200, I think.
Yeah.
I think he's probably – I probably play him. I'll probably have him ahead of MVS. So
I mean, all these dudes haven't got double digits yet on the season.
Yeah, it's a problem.
Nope.
I love the builds where you can just get like I just would love any build that you don't have to play these type of guys.
Again, though, at least I know with Justin Watson, like the targets, they're long targets. So he just hasn't scored yet, but they're at least giving him like a decent shot at a deep ball. Like I'll take a 2,200 Watson. I'll take chances on him. Like, why not? I mean,
then just replace MVS with. I mean, it's cheaper, Justin Watson. So there you go. There's a bill.
I definitely like Watson more than MVS, but I like everyone more than MVS. I just think he's so bad.
Tony's just hoping Justin Ross gets the call at some point over MVS. It's got to happen at some point.
It's got to happen. I mean, he got 4 targets last week. Tonight, the Showdown's the perfect time to roll the dice on a guy like Ross.
I'll probably roll the dice a little bit just at 600. Why not? Value's bad.
Yeah, you don't need to go crazy either. And he's got touchdown equity. He still came in a couple of the red zone trips even before he was playing.
Tony, especially if they get up, why wouldn't you let him get a few extra reps in? Like if you're up in a game, like he definitely makes sense, especially in like a heavy Chiefs build, like a 4-2 or a 5-1. He makes a lot of sense because, like, you know, if they're winning by a good margin, he might play a little bit more and they might rotate even more than they do. So that's definitely something to just keep in mind. But Whistles, you got anything else to add?
That's it there. I think I do like Sutton captain though, because I think as far as his salary goes, I mean he's the lowest salary guy that I think could really pump numbers here. So
I really like those builds with the receivers at the captain. I mean, obviously Mahomes and Kelsey are great captains. Like it's going to be a lot harder to ship tonight with one of those captains, just because you're going to have to get a lot more right than wrong. With one of these other captains, Mahomes and Kelsey could still crush and it still gets you there. Whereas I think you need less to happen, and I just think it's a better build. Sutton, Judy,
will you play receivers. Casey? Will you play Casey captains in the wide receiver, like wide receiver Casey?
I just don't think they can get there. I really don't.
I don't think so either. That's why I was asking.
More I've looked at Rashee Rice. I want to say Rashee Rice. I'm just not confident he can be the winning captain. I think he can be the winning utility. We are saying this against a defense, though, that has given up everything to everybody. So maybe it is a spot Rashee Rice could show upside, but
whatever they want to do KC tonight, I think they're going to be able to pick their spots here from an offensive perspective. But yeah, it could be, you never really know. I mean, I think McKinnon is the guy I'm going to take my shot with, but I'm not going to take my shot with a wide receiver. He just always has those random 2-touchdown games. I'm literally talking about having like 3 lineups, 4 or 5 lineups with McKinnon and captain. You're like, please don't. What do you mean? Like, I'm just telling you, he's got 2 touchdown upside.
There's no way he's the winner. Like, there's no way.
Okay. Well, good luck figuring out of those guys.
I hate freaking doing this to you because then you just want to play him more. So I don't even like to argue about it because then you're just going to lose money because I'm making fun of you. I don't want that.
Well, it being National Farmers Day equals rice for the money. I mean, there you go. There's Paul Goebel. That's our guy, Paul Goebel from the Monday show. So Paul Goebel in chat. JSU, as someone who suffers from McKinsey, please don't.
I think he's.
You're trying to win $1 million. You're not trying to you got to have like 1 or 2 bullets in the chamber. If you're playing like 150,
put your bullet in the chamber.
In who? Give me something else. I'm not playing Judy, or I'm not doing the Judy or Sutton and captain. They literally just, I don't know if they can do. Maybe Sutton can do it. Maybe Judy I can't do. He's just I can't do Judy. So maybe Sutton a little bit. I'll test, but that's it. All right, kickers and defenses. We talked about the Chiefs defense being probably around 25 to 30% owned on this slate. 5-1 builds are going to be crazy. I would assume Harrison Butker would be pretty popular too, just because Casey's going to score. He's going to have chances to put up points. So what are we doing with the other side, kicker and defense? Because I do worry a little bit about like Will Lutz from the standpoint that I do think Peyton could be way more aggressive in this game, which could hurt Will Lutz. But at the same time, if you think they have a chance to cover, Tony, you got to like the kicker a little bit, right?
Yeah, I like the kickers tonight. And Butker's got – so he's only had one game with 5 points, and that was the Jacksonville game that there was no points. So the rest of the games, 8, 12, 11, and 10. And they played at the Jets and versus Detroit, 2 of the games that were somewhat tough games too. So, I mean, Butker looks like outside of those top 3 Chiefs, the Pacheco and Kelsey and Mahomes, like clearly the next guy for me that I would put in there ahead of all those other like wishy-washy guys. So I like Butker for sure. And Lutz, I just, in a game like this with no security down low, I just like the kickers more than I usually do. And that's saying too, I know I'm not going to be high on the Chiefs D just because of the way the slate sets up. I'm gonna bank on the Broncos being able to score a little bit. If the Broncos lose 38-10 tonight, I'm gonna lose, I promise you, because I'm building based on Denver at least being able to be somewhat competitive and hang around in this game. I think they'll be able to compete enough. So if they can compete, like JSU said, I mean, even as bad as they've been this year, he's only had one game worse than 7. And in this game, 7+ fantasy points is probably going to play pretty nicely because a lot of people are going to get less than 7 from one or two of their spots. It's just going to happen. There's too many guys that could get zeros tonight. Kickers just give you a lot of stability, and I actually like Denver's D more than the Chiefs D just because of ownership and price. They're $3K. I mean, they're terrible. Don't get me wrong. They've given up a lot of points, a lot of yards, a lot of everything, but it's a division game. Their only other division game so far, they played Vegas and they lost by 1, but they played decent in that game. They only gave up 200 passing yards. They were decent in that game. So I don't know, maybe the division game versus a limited Chiefs team, they're just going to be so low owned. Even in the whistles move from last year where you play Mahomes captain, one way to get different is play Denver's D as one of the cheap guys. And all it takes is one freaking play where they just get a lucky pick or a tip ball. Why can't there be a tip ball that goes to the house or something? It's just not that crazy. And no one's going to have that. I mean, immediately like 1% of captains. So if you played Mahomes captain in this D, you only got to beat 1% of the teams instead of 30% of the teams. So granted, it probably won't happen because it's the Broncos D, but it's one play. The same thing as these receivers that we're talking about. They need one play. Why can't the defense get them? Or a punt return, like JSU said. And I mean, I am high on both kickers and higher than the field on the Broncos D, which could mean 15% or something for me. Not much. But in the Chiefs D, I mean, the more I'm thinking about it, I'm just not going to have them all that much.
It sounds like you're almost close to fading the Chiefs D and fading 5-1s. It sounds like
I'm going to fade 5-1s for sure. I'm not going to fade the Chiefs D completely. I'm going to project them like industry right now has them projected somewhere around 8 or 9 points. I'm going to project them closer to like 5 or 6 points. And then if they still hit, then that's fine.
Yeah, that makes some sense. I will say, if you bet Denver, I think you got to like them to score a little bit to cover. Like, I'm not saying
they score. I really do think they score tonight points.
Yeah, this could be a classic game where Casey just almost overlooks this team and they play down a little bit and you know, this team scores a little bit. So Zach Wilson did it. Zach Wilson scored some points. I mean,
I still don't think the Chiefs are any good. I know we're known as the haters. I just don't think they're that good. And I'm going to stick to it. I watch them, and I know Mahomes is great, but even Kelsey looks off to me. Just does.
Something's up with him. I don't know if he's injured because he started the season with a little injury, like maybe he just wanted to play through it, but something's off. Any chance Denver wins our investment?
I said I'll be betting Denver to win tonight. A little something on them. I think they could win.
A little sprinkle. Little sprinkle.
Not saying it's like a 5-star selection, but I think they'll be in the game. And granted, Mahomes will probably just beat them down the stretch. But I mean, they're plus 470. I think that's a good bet.
I mean, Mahomes gets every call too, by the way. Like
he'll probably beat him in the end. But it's another thing too with live betting where if you're sitting on a Broncos ticket and they're up late in the game and Mahomes, just bet Mahomes, and then you got a nice little hedge.
Our biggest Chiefs fan in the chat here, KC, 15-0 versus Broncos country.
How many covers, AP? Games. Good teams win. Great teams cover. How many covers? Not many.
Whistles, what are you doing here with kickers?
Couple. I know that much. How many covers, AP? Give us stats that matter. We don't care straight up. Who covers?
Let him figure it out, Tony. He's got to go back and figure it out. They covered last week, he said.
Yeah,
we want to know about all the Broncos games that you just said. The 15 games. We want to know how many covers.
Get back to us, AP, with how many of those 15 they covered. Not many.
Whistles, kickers, defenses. What do you got? What are you doing with them?
Yeah, I don't think there's any problem with Mahomes captain with Broncos and also with Lutz on there or something like that. That's a perfectly fine start. I actually, very interestingly, in my 150 right now, again, this is just the massive millionaire. I have Bucker as captain more than I have him in the flex. So I don't know.
I like that.
I don't think I've ever seen really with a kicker, but apparently that might be a good play. Put him as the captain.
These are the builds where captains can win. And I know people hate this take, but it's a slate where there's only a couple studs and there's no ceilings.
Yeah,
I like the Bucker captain. I'm definitely going to play some Bucker captain tonight.
I have him more as captain than I have him as flex.
And this is the way Denver covers too, Tony. They hold them to field goals, right? They hold them to field goals.
Correct.
They're not asking for a ton of points.
100%.
Maybe Mahomes only throws 2 touchdowns, and maybe they kick four field goals, but 3 of them are long ones, Tony, right? Like that's how Bucker's the winner, and Mahomes captain isn't the winner. And Denver somehow still covers and scores some points, but you're not asking them to score like a crazy amount of points. You know what I mean? Like that's the way it happens. I like it.
Yeah, and again, I think you're right. At 3K, you can't ignore Broncos defense. That's for sure. You just can't.
Yep.
I'm not going to for sure. I think if they come in at what, like 10%, Tony, 5%?
I don't know. There's no way Denver's D even comes in 10. Like, there's no way. They're
5%.
Like
you
5.
Get 15% of that defense. You're way over the field if they're 5. Like that's perfect. I think so. I'm with it. Someone asked Dolchich back tonight. Yeah, it looks like Dolchich is going to be activated off IR, so should be good for him. Bring the noise. Loves the RPS hat, the off-white hat. Tony, he's a big fan of it. So, are those on the site? Can people buy them already? Are they good to go?
It will be here in a little. I don't know if she got them up there yet. I don't know. They will be though.
They'll be
actually
on the site.
I saw someone ordered them. Someone did send a tweet that they ordered it, so they must be out.
Oh, I think Bean Air ordered them. So you're right. They probably are up on the site. I should have known Amber already had them up, ready to go on the site.
I don't know if they're fully. I think she might have put them up before we got them. I don't know.
Done easy. Where's the Prez? The Prez is doing Prez things right now. He's getting stuff done. He's in the back.
He's looking for his running back from the other night. He's wondering if he hit the field yet. His Green Bay dude,
Brian Robinson.
No, the other dude, Patrick Taylor. He's waiting for Patrick Taylor to hit the field.
Patrick Taylor to
score
2 touchdowns. To score 2 touchdowns or whatever it was. Yep, that's what happened for sure. But Any other? We talked about like cheap, really cheap plays. Like you guys don't see any like $200 plays on this slate. Like I don't. But do you guys see anyone that's like 200 that you could even think about playing? I mean, now with Dolchich probably back, like Troutman's 2,800. I don't think you play like the backup from there. So, is there anything either of you guys see? I don't see it.
Ross at 600 is the lowest, I guess.
Yeah, Ross at 600. Yeah. I agree.
Ross, and I mean, I always leave Bell in my player pool just because a few times a year he catches a touchdown, but I don't like him. He's just a.
So does the win concern you for kicking? If the win's like 15-20, I'm not overly concerned about it. I gave my concerns with the Denver kicker more than I did I like Harrison Butker for sure, but I definitely gave my concerns with Denver. Not even from the win standpoint, though. The win actually had nothing to do with my concern. My concern was more that Sean Payton would be way more aggressive in this game, and it could lead to them going for it on 4th and shorts in normal kicking situations. Just because based off of who they're playing, the fact that they've been ass and they need to win, and like their season is close to over if they don't start winning. And obviously you got to beat KC, in the division. So this is a big game for them, and it's kind of like the turning point of their season. Can they show up and find a way to keep the game close with, obviously things are going on, like I said, in the locker room. Guys are going to be traded. There's going to be shakeups made. Like this is it right here. So this is a big game for Denver. Even if they don't win, it's a big game from the standpoint, like they got to show up and be competitive. Like they have to like give a good performance, or you're going to see like a bunch of dudes get traded, cut. Like you're going to see massive shakeups for sure. So yeah, I'm fine with the kicking from the standpoint of the win, though. I'm not too worried about it. Unless you start seeing, like Tony said, that total start to drop. Tony made the best point. Like you start to see that total drop, then maybe start to get a little worried about the weather. But until then, I'm fine with it. I'll still play kickers for sure. So let's see. Watson, captain, playable, 2 for 60 and a touchdown. We talked about Casey, wide receiver captains trying to make it work, Tony. I just don't see it. But could 2 for 60 and a touchdown get him on the optimal?
Absolutely. If he got 2 for 60 and a tutty, I mean, that is almost I would call it borderline a lock to be the winning captain if he got that. 2 for 6. I mean, that's 15 points. I mean, that's huge for his price tag. But I also think that's a pretty big ask to get that. I mean,
it's also cheap, right? It's really cheap.
Yeah, that's why I think Tony's like it's almost a lock to be on the optimal if he did get 2 for 60. But
if you told me he scored a touchdown, I would almost be willing to gamble that he's my captain. Any of the Chiefs guys, if you told me any of those dudes score, I would go very heavy on them. It's just a matter of, man, I mean, there's a lot of guys. There is a lot of different dudes that you could play.
Paul's asking about the double P. Ryan builds. I wouldn't go there, Paul. I wouldn't play any.
Who's the second one? There's 2 P. Ryans.
LaMichael P. Ryan.
He's still in football? Who does he play for?
The Chiefs. I think he's on the practice squad, though.
I haven't seen the other P. Ryan.
Yeah, I could be wrong on that.
I freaking love P. Ryan. P. Ryan might be my favorite play tonight.
No, P. Ryan's definitely your favorite play. You love P. Ryan. I can tell when you like love guys like that. You definitely. He's he's close to the same play as these other guys, and he's $2K cheaper.
Yeah, I mean, I think he's just a better play than those other guys. I just think he's going to catch he's going to get 8 targets in this game at least, and they're all going to be easy dump offs for yards. So if he scores, he's going to be optimal for sure. If he doesn't score, he's going to be still a decent floor play.
I mean, if he scores, that's a big ask.
It's not that crazy. I watched him score against the freaking Chiefs in the AFC title game.
I mean, he hasn't scored all year, but okay. They have 3 running backs. I think that's like the Jarrett McKinnon play all over again. It's literally like it. You're just saying because you're going to be trailing, he's a better play. But
It's two runners and a drop-off guy. He's the third down guy.
Jarrett McKinnon is going to have chances.
McLaughlin's getting early down. McLaughlin might not even play.
I think he's just looked too good to like not play him a little bit. That's my issue. I agree with you, but Javante's looked bad. He already got banged up. Like I don't know, banged up. He got hurt. He was looking terrible anyways. They probably just brought him back too soon, but I don't know. How do you not play that kid? He's been the only good part of the running back room. Like, and trust me, as someone who has a ton of Javonte in best ball, I don't want to say this because I really want Javonte to be good, but man, he hasn't looked right. So I don't know if it's going to be in the cards, but all right, let's do favorite play here on the slate. We'll go like favorite captain and then like maybe favorite like unique play, but Whistles, I'll start with you. Like, who's the Logan Thomas of this week here? Give us another Logan Thomas play.
I would say, I mean, the problem is it's going to be hard to get away from like Kelsey captain, I think. But if I go down, I think Watson is the best captain play you'll get down below. That's my play. The millionaire goes to Watson. That's what I'll say.
All right. So Whistles on the Watson play, Tony. You might have to add a little Watson, just a tiny bit for Whistles here. I mean, I've been talking about him, I think if you're playing a KC receiver, it's got to be Rice. Like, I just think he's the best one in the room. It's annoying that he doesn't actually like play on the field more than he does. Like, I wish it would, be more, but
it's annoying that he doesn't play on the field.
He doesn't play as much as I would thought, like on the field. Like, he doesn't. Like, what do you want? Like, that's the truth. The guy got 30% of snaps last game. Like, the guy doesn't play as much as he should. What else would you want me to say? Is that not annoying about every single Chiefs receiver that they have? That they play everyone 30 to 50%? Like, yes, that's very, very annoying and tilting when the guy's clearly better than the rest of them, even though some people said he sucked and didn't understand why he was there. But that's okay. I don't know who that one was. So, yeah, I'll go Rashid Rice and Jerick McKinnon are my two mid-tier builds. Tony, give us your play of the day. I'm sure it's shitty Samaje Perine.
He's definitely my favorite play of this. I like the Watson. The more I look at Watson, the more I'm on Whistle's train with that too, just because of the pricing. If I run Mahomes captain builds, it just fits so nicely with the Watsons, Brandon Johnsons, P. Ryans. I mean, just going down to that lower Mims, it just fits with that range. And I want to be away from the, really in that whole range in that next, even Kelsey. I don't love Kelsey tonight. But Judy, Sutton, Javonte, McLaughlin, even Rice, I mean, that whole like 7K range, it just seems bad to me. And I'm not saying none of those guys are going to hit the winner because they are the like next tier of guys that can go off. But if I can have a build with both quarterbacks, a decent receiving option on both sides, and then maybe a running back or something or a kicker, I like those builds more than the Kelsey, Judy, Sutton, Javonte, and that range. I feel like that range is tough, but my favorite play is for sure P. Ryan.
I'm with you on the Kelsey thing. I think I'm lower on Kelsey a little bit today too.
Kelsey needs a cheap guy to do good too, and that's where like just the math of Showdown comes in. Because if you told me like 14 puts him in the winner, I think I would love him because I think he does get just a solid floor. But if you told me that none of the cheapies do that much and he needs more, I don't know. Like, I don't feel like he's going to get 25 or something tonight.
Let me give you a Kelsey build, okay? Critique.
Yeah.
You ready?
Whistles loves Kelsey tonight. I can tell.
Kelsey captain,
No.
y'all have. Kelsey captain, I know you're going to say no already. Just can I finish the lineup, please? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Finish.
Kelsey, Mahomes, Wilson, Sutton, Watson, and then Edwards-Helaire. It's a lineup.
Yeah, I mean,
you're going to need a lot from that
guy
lineup. You're going to need a lot from that lineup. You're going to need I think a blowout. with Edwards-Helaire.
Yeah.
Get more run.
Edwards-Helaire is definitely getting extra from my player pool. Like, there's no way I'm playing him. He's
gonna
as we say in college football, he's gonna hold his helmet all night.
He's such a bad running back too. Like, he's so bad. I don't even know why they keep going back.
I would
to
like
him.
that build with even Justin Ross over him or something. I like that
Ross.
build though. It's just a matter of the cheap. I mean, Edwards-Helaire, I just don't know how. Like, how does he get there, Edwards-Helaire, but outside of just a total blowout?
He gets one of the goal line carries and he gets the 1 yard push.
That's the it's a total blowout kind of script there, right? Watson.
Yeah.
Again, it's a short week. I always say this with running backs. You just never know with these type of games, and the team across from you has been really bad, especially against running backs too. So that's the one thing. I want the cat. Sutton is the worst play. Just
why is Sutton the worst play?
I don't know. That's what he said. Sutton is the worst play. He must like KC 5-1 builds.
Or maybe
he loves Judy.
Said that.
Yeah, he said maybe. Yeah, or maybe he loves Judy. I don't. One or the other. He's got to love Judy. Oh yeah, here it is. Judy showcase. I mean, I feel like he's a better 7K play than any of those other 7K Broncos.
I don't know how the number one receiver. How can the number one receiver from a team be a bad showdown play?
I'm confused by it.
Especially in a trailing script on top of it.
JC's lockdown versus wide receiver ones. That's his take right there. So it's Judy night or one of the other receivers for I want the cat. He says Cortland Sutton's getting locked down. I mean, we'll see, I guess. I don't think he's a bad play, though. I think he's probably out of those top 7K and up Broncos guys, I think he's the best play. Like, if you just – I don't really like the two running backs. I'm with Tony there. I'm lower on those guys. And then Judy's 9K. And really and truly, Cortland Sutton should be 9K and Judy should be 78. Like, that's the truth, I think, on this slate. So you have prices flipped from what they should be. That's the way I see it. Prices should be different on this slate. They should be closer or flipped because Sutton's been way more, honestly, consistent this year. And that's how I look at it. But Big T, any Mims captain love from Tyler?
Yeah, I think he's okay.
Couple, not many though. For me.
Yeah, I think in the millie, taking shots on guys like that who at least have big play potential aren't wrong. You know what I mean? Like, literally guys that have that.
All it takes is one play.
Yeah.
The frustration with Mims, I mean, we love Mims. I loved him in college, love him now. These guys are the guys that frustrate me the most, though, because we want them to be good so bad, and everyone in Twitter wants them to be good so bad. And then Peyton just doesn't play him.
And
it will tilt you all night long.
And he sits on the sidelines.
It only takes one.
He's going to sit on the sidelines now and hold his helmet.
He definitely is. I mean, you just got to house one when he's in there. It's just what has to happen.
There's one person we haven't talked about yet. Russell Wilson.
That's who I want to hear about.
Russell Wilson. No one's going to have him. I know he's crap. I'm not, but
I love Russ.
Well, I mean, he's pretty bad this year, I think. But listen, nobody's going to have him as captain. Throw him in as captain. I think that is a powerhouse DFS play tonight.
I love it.
I think any of those type of plays, like from Denver, you're going to be very on an island with. So they make for really good millie plays just for that reason alone, right?
In a lot of things, it would make a lot of sense to put Russell Wilson as captain. Now that I'm thinking about it, I mean, he's going to be owning his captains in the very low single digits in all formats.
Five. What do you think? Wilson's like 5%, like in the captain?
I would say normally. So my model would put him owned at slightly over 5% captain, 6.5% captain, and so. Yeah, I mean, you throw him in, he could run in a touchdown. It's not impossible. And he throws one, it's a closer game than people think.
I love Russ.
A bunch of the
I
other
think
guys.
he's going to need to run more, honestly. So,
Yeah. And so,
I think you need both quarterbacks in this game. Like the way it sets up, I don't always say that either, but man, I want both quarterbacks tonight. Obviously, it doesn't have to be captain, but I want both. I think Russ captain's a very good play, and you got the cheap receivers you can pair him with too. And there's a lot of options with Russ, and there's no reason Russ should be lower owned in the captain than Kelsey. To me, I just, yeah, that's just part of the tradition, Lucas.
What about FanDuel?
The funny thing is, he likes FanDuel more than DK right now. Is the funniest part. He loves FanDuel.
I forgot to buy it again. I keep saying I'm going to buy into FanDuel. I haven't had the opportunity. I got to go.
I always forget that you can't play FanDuel either.
I will not ever say I love FanDuel more than DK. That is incorrect. That's bad news. Fake news from Tony right there. I do not love FanDuel more than DK. DK is way better than FanDuel. But I will say the FanDuel Sportsbook app, there's some cool things on there that you can't bet on DK, or I can't find on DK, but I can find on FanDuel. So I do have just some of those biases towards the Sportsbook and some of the odds and stuff. Some cool, higher odds bets I can find on FanDuel that DK can't find. So that'd be my one critique. But for fantasy, DK is way better than FanDuel. I mean, I just pulled up FanDuel tonight. We've got $150K to first, $750K total prize pool in their main GPP, $9, which is fine. But DK, there's Millie. If I could only play one site, which luckily I can play both sites, but if I could only play one, I'd choose DK all day. Like way better prize pools for sure. So, all right, let's pull it up, Tony. And I know you're probably looking at it for the first time right now. But what stands out to you on FanDuel that's maybe a little different than DK? If you could find anything that just kind of sticks out to you?
It's going to play, very similar. And it starts with, obviously, I want Mahomes and Russ, with one of them more than likely in the MVP, just the way the slate sets up. And then, so if you plug both of them in, which I want, you're down to $9K. You really can't play Kelsey in that bill, which is fine with me. So maybe FanDuel is even better for me tonight because I don't really want to play Kelsey and I want both quarterbacks. So if you don't do there, you got $9K though without Kelsey in there. And you look at this range, Sutton's 11.5, Judy 11, Butker 9K, Chiefs D 95, P Ryan 9K, Rashee Rice 8,500, Tony's 8K. Dolchich and Mims and Sky Moore and McKinnon. And you can just litter those receivers in with your quarterbacks. Brandon Johnson, 7K. How much is, Ross is 6K. Justin Watson, who we loved on the other site, Whistles loved, 6,500. If you plug him, just say you wanted him and P Ryan in there, which were two of our guys. I don't like P Ryan as much on FanDuel just because of PPR, but if you did that, it gives you 11.5. You could play Sutton, Judy, anybody with it. So that would be where I'd go. Two quarterbacks, fade Kelsey, throw whoever your MVP is, plug two receivers in. Opposite. If it was Russ, I love playing Brandon Johnson and one of the good guys or something.
Yeah, it looks like on FanDuel, if you have two cheap guys that you like 7K and under guys, you could fit all three of the top tier studs if you can make that work. But I'm with Tony. If you did just fade that and faded one of the top guys and built from there, so you're not really playing two cheap guys and you're only playing maybe one, I think those are better builds on FanDuel. So I think for me, I'm going to have most of my builds. It's going to be without one of the top three guys, and it's probably going to be under on Kelsey for that reason, to be different.
Why do these people keep talking about LaMichael P. Ryan?
Yeah.
This isn't even a question. This is Samaje, and it's not even close. I don't know why we're talking about LaMichael.
I don't even. The other dude's not even on the team, is he?
I thought he was on the practice squad.
Well, we get points for that? Or why are people talking about it? There had to be some news.
We get
What was the
points for
news?
that?
Why everyone's talking about him?
Yeah, someone give us the news. Like, did they, say he's gonna get some work? Like, what's the news here?
Who the hell's he gonna play over?
There's no way he's playing. I mean, he plays for the Chiefs. What is he gonna play over?
Guys, you're not going to play
Pacheco or
over
McKinnon? Come on, what are we doing here?
Gosh. It's gonna be hilarious when this dude scores tonight, though. After all this chatter,
Yeah, that would be funny.
I looked up one stat to help you guys with kickers. Okay, everyone's saying win.
Yeah.
Apparently, at least according to covers.com, field goals when it's 0 to 15 miles per hour hit at 83%, 15 to 20, 80%. So it's not even like any kind of major difference there. So if you it makes the play of kicker even better tonight. Potentially.
What if it gets to like 30? Do the stats keep going?
I'm trying to see if I can get. I mean, it's a little bit. Let me see if I can get that data, but I'm not sure if I can find that right away.
Yeah, that's all right. That's still good data though. 15 to 20, and the percentage really doesn't change. Is the point? So
but maybe they're a little bit more conservative with kicks. I don't know. I'd have to look.
That is the question, right?
Yeah,
like, that is the question. Especially if they're like pre-game kicking and the kickers come back and they're like, oh, there's wind's a little rough. You never know, right? Like you don't know.
But I think people will be a little bit off the kickers tonight because of this wind. So it's something to think about when you're trying to differentiate this stuff.
Oh, being there. Okay. Well, on that note, I mean, I think we're gonna head out on that note, but we will have another Showdown show tonight up to lock here on the Run Pure Sports channel. So tune in to those guys, Holden, JBC, and Stats. We'll be bringing you guys up to lock. So make sure you check that out and check out all the stuff we got over there. RPS 15, I think is the code right now. Get you 15% off your first month's payment over at Run Pure Sports. So use RPS 15, get in the Discord, get the bet side. Bets package has been crushing. Big T's been on fire, even though he won't talk about it. He's been on fire. And Whistles. Check out Whistle's site, eatthesharks.com. His tool is on Run Pure Sports as well. So if you want to try out his tool, it's for free on his site and on our site. It's for free. It's beta. You can go try it out. Give us your feedback, your thoughts. Obviously is big, right, Whistles?
Yes, it is. Check it out. Yeah, and please reach out. Even post on Twitter, whatever. DM me on Twitter. Doesn't matter. Reach out. Good luck to everybody. Kickers. So what's the goal ahead? What's the message for everybody leaving today? Watson.
I think it's
Watson, Ryan.
8-5-1s, lower on the defense, kickers. I think this is a pro Denver covers show here. Whistles, I don't know if you want to be a part of that, but this is a Chiefs haters show. So
yeah, I can't quite say that. I think as long as Mahomes in the league, I don't think I'm going to say that I am the Chiefs. But yeah, I think also just to make sure people know, Chiefs defense fade. Potentially.
Yeah. Not the Broncos defense. You want to have some Broncos defense.
We want that powerhouse Broncos D in there.
Yep, that powerhouse where their guys are dropping like Frank Clark. They're just like, yeah, get out of here. Frank Clark's gonna find his way back in KC somehow, and then make KC's defense even better. That's gonna be the funniest part when he finds his way back there. But all right, guys, make sure you hit the like button on your way out. Get over to Run Pure Sports. RPS 15 is the code. Get 15% off your first month's payment and come join us and Run Pure. For Big T, for Whistles Go Woo, I'm JSU. We'll see you guys next Thursday. Peace.